Interesting. Check 1, 2. Check. All right. Well, they can't hear us now.
Nope, I can't hear us in the
On
headphones,
the headphones
either.
Oh, can you hear it now? Hello?
There we go.
You can hear it now?
Yep.
Okay. Can you hear it now?
Yep.
Okay. Let's start over. We're going to start the show over because I didn't hit record anyway. Okay, so here we go. Let's do it all over again. Check 1, 2. All right. So they can see us right now for what it's worth. Okay. All right, guys. Take 2. Here we go. Live show happening right. Hello. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Blame Your Brother. I am David, and I am proud to be streaming the show tonight at blameyourbrother.tv, which is our YouTube channel. So if you go to blameyourbrother.tv, you can check out the show with all the technical mishaps that are happening. But hey, we're here. We're doing it live for you people. I am one half of Blame Your Brother. I am David, a.k.a. Deebo, voice of the people, Mr. 40%, Glenn Jackson, the spiritual midget, and I sit next to this gentleman, my friend of almost 30 years. It is John.
Hey everybody, John here, a.k.a. Mr. Groupon, the Chris Mr. PTI, the Madman.
They got John Tortorello, a madman. Okay, there we go. So, all right, yes, we're here. We're doing it for you guys. We're doing it live, and hopefully you guys are going to have a good time. We have much to talk about tonight. We're doing the best Christmas movies of all time, Mount Rushmore. So I know we're going to have some crossover, but Mount Rushmore rules. Sorry, you only get 4, and they can't be shared, so that'll be fun. We've got some significant deaths this week, maybe one we foretold in the future, possibly. And some other things as well. It's been a busy week, so we will just, hit the ground rolling, I guess. So, John, last week we talked about you were in a bad situation at your workplace. Anything like that happened this week?
No, thank goodness.
Well, that's good.
No.
Anything going on with you in your life this week?
No, not really. Just working a lot and trying to get all this Christmas stuff knocked out.
There you go. So I, as I've talked about before, I took a semester of college. I took Intro to Biology, Intro to Cinema, Intro to Criminal Justice, I believe, or maybe Law Enforcement. I don't really remember that one because I've kind of already taken it before, but I had to take it again because the credits didn't roll over. But I'm proud to announce all A's this semester, even in Intro to Cinema, which I thought was going to be a
touch and go,
bad times, but it was good. So I'm done with that. I got one more semester coming up, and once I do that, I will have a associate's degree of science in criminal justice, I believe. So that's kind of cool, So I can't complain about that. It's, I would just, as I've talked about before, college, a little bit of a joke. Let's just be real at a certain point. I mean, you're really just paying for these credits at this point. I mean, like, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, but a lot of these professors in these online courses use the same website to generate the assignments and the test, and you can go to a certain website and all the answers are on there provided by a community of people. So if you have these and everything's an open book, I mean, you better get all A's or you're just, I mean, there's stuff, sometimes you have to write, and that's a little bit different, but I don't know, it's something else. And then this week also bought a new van finally. So we had I got 3 kids and a wife, and our van was it's seen better days. So we went out and got a van from CarMax. Now, have you bought a car recently? From who? I mean, when's the last time you bought a car?
We actually bought a car from last year, a month ago. So a little over a year, from Robin's parents.
Really?
They were upgrading their car, and they were just basically sell/give.
Okay,
so,
okay.
That went fairly seamless.
There you go. Have you ever went to like a CarMax or anything like that? I mean, it's. I would just say this to that CarMax, it's pretty nice because there's no the thing I always hate about buying cars, and I think most people would probably agree with me, is the negotiation factor. The sleazy salesman coming at you with let's make a deal and all that stuff. And I mean, who likes that?
No.
And so with CarMax, it's like you see what you get. Like if the sticker price says $22,000, it's going to be $22,000. So I like that part of it, but I don't know. We got a pretty good deal on a van. If you have kids and stuff, you obviously it's kind of need it. So that's kind of where we're at. So that was the big two things in my life this week. I mean, obviously I guess we can just jump to the news then. We had two notable deaths this week, and we'll just jump to the first one. Our man Tommy Tiny Lister dies at age 62. So Lester had been experiencing COVID symptoms in the days leading up to his death, according to his manager. The manager tells CNN that Tiny began feeling sick a week ago, but he got worse quickly, couldn't breathe, felt very weak, and then passed away. Woo. So what are your thoughts? Okay, I've got a few thoughts on Tiny Lister. What are your thoughts on the man known as Tiny Lister?
I mean, there's only two notable characters that you really think of, especially if you're our age.
Okay.
And I mean, going chronologically, number one, Zeus.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Zeus. I
Yes,
mean,
okay.
he was even to this day. I think his portrayal, not just in the movie, but also when he kind of did a little crossover into the WWF.
Yeah.
And continued his character into that. And to me, I think, as far as depictions go, it was the most formidable opponent Hulk Hogan has ever had.
Whoa.
Depictions wise,
whoa,
I mean,
whoa.
now if you're talking about like if all the rules were aside, they actually fought, Andre the Giant, hands down.
John, that's a pretty bold statement there. I mean, because I would say that it's hard to go against Andre the Giant. It's like is the one, but I will say this about Zeus before we get into his other role. But Zeus scared me as a child, truthfully. I mean, I guess I would say this to jump on to kind of your point there. I was never afraid of Andre the Giant per se.
That's what I'm getting at. It's just like from the depiction of watching it.
Yes.
And it seemed that a lot of blows that Hogan would throw at him, even when he was doing his stint in the WWF, he kind of, he made that crazy-eyed face and he just shook it off.
Mm-hmm.
And Andre never did that. Even Ultimate Warrior didn't.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, he literally frightened me. Like, and even when the dumb movie came out, No Holds Barred, he was even scary in the movie. I was like, see, wrestling, people don't understand about it. Occasionally wrestling is great because I think of the most recent feud that comes to mind was Brock Lesnar. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows who Brock Lesnar is, I would hope. But Brock Lesnar went in against John Cena. And I'm not a John Cena guy. I mean, I respect what he did, but I was never like, go John Cena. I was never throwing up the hustle, loyalty, respect, and all that. But when he would wrestle, God dang, John Cena, it seemed like he was seriously trying to hurt him, and that was frightening as a wrestling fan watching that, because it was like, whoa, is he legitimately out there trying to hurt John Cena? I don't know, but those are the moments when wrestling's good, is when that reality kind of blurs and you're like, is this dude like seriously trying to kill this dude? I don't know. But and with Zeus,
well, there was also, I mean, you mentioned Brock Lesnar. There was a match with him against Randy Orton, and he was throwing like elbows and gashed him open.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's like blading, fake, in wrestling. That was legit.
Yeah.
Like he busted him open for real. And
yeah.
Brock Lesnar is one of those characters, performers that it's easier to blur the lines than with other characters.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then obviously I've got the graphic pulled up now that me and John are looking at, but I mean Deebo from Friday.
Yeah, that's obviously
classic role, career-defining role. I mean, you watched Friday, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, it's
top 10 without a doubt.
Oh yeah.
It's the best comedy I've ever seen. to me. I mean, I guess you could look at others, but to me, when I just think of best comedy, I always laugh at it. I can watch it 1,000 times. I've watched it many. I always laugh more so at certain parts than others. And without him in that movie, it don't work. Like he is the driving force of the movie. He literally propels the plot forward, and he was so good in it. And once again, he was like very like you're like, dude,
Yeah.
this guy was in my neighborhood. Like I would not go outside. Like the bike scene. I mean, I laugh at just thinking about it now. Hey man, I just want to get my bike back. Oh, you want to get your bike back? Oh, come on, man. You're like, all right, maybe this dude's good. Knocks the dude straight out. So yeah, I mean, and from what I've seen, I mean, neither of us knew the guy, but he seemed like a decent guy. Like I've seen a lot of pictures of him hanging out with other celebrities, always smiling in every picture, and you just think of these two roles where he was just this monster, and it's, I mean, you get to a bigger point that COVID is still around. I mean, it's like I know people, especially in Tennessee, which now is the worst state per capita for COVID.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
I mean, it's embarrassing, but it's still taking people's lives, and there's still celebrities passing away from it, you know. And I know there's tons of, yes, we recognize there's tons of normal people, but when celebrities, it really highlights like this thing's still for real. Now, the other rest in peace, Charley Pride. Now, we talked about Charley Pride a few weeks ago, and I said on the show, the man should not be at the CMA Awards performing because he was old and no one was wearing masks at the event. He could catch COVID. And what happens? Catch COVID, dies December 12th, 2020, complications from COVID-19. He was 86 years old. He a little bit older than, Deebo, Tiny Lister, but still, what do you think? And I mean, obviously, I know what I think, but do you think he possibly could have gotten it at this award show? Is there any chance?
I mean, I don't think that's the case that he died from. I don't think it's from the award show just because it was so long ago. But
how? I mean, it wasn't that long. I mean, so the period to show symptoms is like 14 days, right? Like you can have it and not start getting sick for like 10 to 14 days after having it. Now we got to date this. So that show where we talked about Charley Pride was our last show with Lee. Okay. So that would have been like 3 weeks.
4 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, probably a little bit. But it's still, I mean, now, honestly, what do I know about the man, Charley Pride? Not a lot. I mean, do you know many of his catalog? Do you know?
No, not really. I didn't really get into country until to the early 90s.
Right.
And, I mean, he really went throwing out those albums then.
Yeah, I don't know what, I mean, obviously, anybody that knows just the peripheral of country music, like, you know Charley Pride because that's the joke. It's like he's the lone black guy in country music. So I guess, rest in peace, man. But once again, I feel a little bit less sad. I mean, it's still sad to his family and to his diehard fans that he died. But he was 86 and he lived like, a very fulfilling life, I would imagine. I guess
he's definitely going down in the annals of history.
Yeah. So rest in peace. I mean, once again, COVID takes two gentlemen from this earth, and they just happen to both be African American men, which is unfortunate as well, because the news has come out now that the vaccine is hitting the streets. It's being administered to people, and I of Tuskegee Airmen, where they were, basically given, I don't know what they were given, like hepatitis, so they were given something crazy, and it made them all sick, and I guess there is a fear in that community about the vaccine. So, John, and neither of us are black, obviously, but do you have any fears about getting the vaccine?
Me, myself, not really, but I've heard that there were complications in a lot of people who took it in the UK on account of allergies, and both my wife and my son have allergies to certain types of penicillin.
Really?
So if that has anything to do with it, then I'd want to know for sure.
Yeah, no,
that there should be like some kind of allergy test that can be given ahead of receiving the
No,
So that's my only real concern.
I feel you then 100%. We got a pretty good chat room right now. I got a lot of people in here watching us. Just your thoughts. Would you be afraid to get the vaccine? Let us know in the chat. But yeah, like you said, for me, someone who's not allergic to any penicillin or not really allergic to any, anything major, I would go get it tomorrow if it was offered. But obviously, they're offering it to frontline people, nurses, doctors, healthcare workers, and they really should be giving it to anyone that works in retail, like Walmart, because I know the joke is like, yo, these people are heroes, but like, honestly, I don't know if they're heroes or more that they have to go into work to keep living a wage.
Yeah.
And so they're forced to be in these roles that, I mean, yes, I know doctors and nurses are obviously most susceptible because people come in and, they have it. But you got to think someone that works at Walmart has got to be a potential to be exposed to that on a daily basis, especially the customers of Walmart. I mean,
we could do a whole show on just the customers of Walmart.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, because I go to Walmart because there's one right next to my house. It's a super Walmart, so it's got everything in it. If I get groceries and things, that's where I go. And the amount of people that still refuse to wear the mask. Like when you walk into this Walmart, there is a literal banner on the front of the store. It says, if you come in here, wear a mask. And it's just, I want to get a video camera and just film the amount of people that just walk past that banner and just like, nah, I'm good, man. Like, forget this, And I just don't, I know we talked about it, we like beating a dead horse, but what is the freaking problem here, man? Like, what is the concern? Like, does it make you like less of a man or something? I mean, I don't know.
I really don't get it, and these are the times where I am ashamed to admit that I vote Republican.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because there's some people that are just coming out of the woodwork, making you ashamed that there's anything that you may agree on with this person.
Yeah.
Even though they're not talking about those specific things, just knowing that there might be a shred of something that you might have common ground with some of these people. At the top of the show, we mentioned, the incident with me a couple weeks ago, and here every once in a while I'll try and look up news reports to see if they caught the guy. And there was one website that allowed comments.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness!
What were they saying?
There were all these negative, about black guys.
Yeah, the
comment. It was just like, it was horrible. And I'm like, and I was the guy, I was on the receiving end of this, and I have no way, shape, or form have views that come anywhere near this. But I know the type of people that are posting it.
Right.
And it's horrible.
Oh, it is. So from the chat, Lisa says about the vaccine. Lisa Mays, one of our top fans, says if you need the use of an EpiPen, they say do not get the vaccine. So that's obviously, like, you just got to be informed. Like, you can't be like informed on YouTube videos about conspiracy theories. You have to be like seriously informed. No. But, and Glenda says about the mask, most people don't even know how to wear the mask properly. And Glenda's 100% correct on that. I mean, I go to Walmart and some people just have the mask around their neck. I'm like, why? Why? I mean, dude, if you're that bold, who cares? Just not even wear the thing. And the majority of them, like you say, none over their nose. I don't know, man. What are you going to do? You're going to go around and just like give the business to people?
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate.
I mean, and they can't follow people around the store, making sure they keep the mask up. So
I don't know. It's unfortunate. So that happened. And also news this week. So we'll jump to this. Time named their person of the year. Now, a lot of people thought it was going to be healthcare workers, which seems appropriate, but instead it went to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who were the Time Person of the Year. Now, okay, John, so you made a face.
I did make a face.
What are your thoughts already? Because I want to hear this.
It seems that people want to vilify Trump so bad that they are just looking to elevate the closest thing to a villain that he has.
Okay, that's fair enough.
His antithesis. And my thing is, you're still feeding into his ego when you do things like this. If you want to shut the guy down, ignore him.
Yeah.
Just forget about, pretend he doesn't exist anymore.
Dude, I've thought that 1,000,000 times.
Amen, brother.
I was literally just like, yo, let's just ignore this dude, man. Let's just act like this guy does not exist. And I think that, like you said, I think that would hurt him more than anything we could ever do.
Donald Trump is the boogeyman. The more attention you give him, the more power he has.
That's true.
And so just ignore him, and he's.
When they boot his butt off Twitter, which is good, it's going to happen. When he's not president anymore, they're going to kick his butt off Twitter. It's going to be a glorious day for me. As much, I don't want to say joy, but as much content, let's say that, as much content as we've gotten from the guy, and we've gotten a lot. I mean, you could argue this last year was heavily influenced by Trump. I mean, there was an episode, there were far and few in between where we didn't talk about him to some degree. Yes, obviously healthcare workers could be the person of the year. I mean, we're going to sit here and know that, but I don't know, man. I have not. Now, to be fair, I have not read this article, so I don't know why they're the person of the year. Just like you said, maybe just because they were. I mean, just because they were running against him, I guess, because they're the great hope against Trump. I don't know, man. I mean, you really could argue, and no one wants to hear it, but you could argue that Trump should be man of the year. I mean, Hitler was man of the year at some point. The person that influenced more stories, more chatter, more voter turnout was actually Trump. But, you know, they're not going to give it to him for that. But I don't know. You know, besides healthcare workers, I don't even know who you really could put up there. This year has been so bizarre. Like, is there anything you even remember other than Trump? I mean, you could argue Biden, the healthcare workers. I mean, we think of all the things that just like came on, like even like what was that show? The Lion King. What was that show called? The Tiger King. Lion King. I mean, that seems like we watched that 100 years ago. Yeah. That was literally this year, people.
Yeah, it was last summer.
So it's a bit wild. So I think the commonplace people would say healthcare workers should have probably been, you know, because, you know, without them, and even I've seen stories like Tennessee is like running out of beds at this point. And now Governor Lee goes on TV, the governor of Tennessee, and is like, people need to start wearing masks. Bro, you should have said that like a long time ago. We're almost past that now.
Yeah.
And then, you know how much I dislike Dave Ramsey. Like, you know, I think that guy is a phony, hypocritical, fake Christian preaching the prosperity gospel. That, number one, you want to know if you're dealing with a fake Christian, if they're preaching the prosperity gospel, which is God wants them to be wealthy, you need to step back and you need to run, actually, because that is a wolf in sheep's clothing. But Dave Ramsey has made a mandate against speaking out against masks. He thinks it's taking his freedom away. I'm like, okay, dude. I don't know how that's taking your freedom away, but I mean, it'd be no different than if, let's say you're sick. Let's say you just have the flu. A lot of times it was commonplace when we went to the doctor to wear a mask. So much in Japan, everyone you see on the streets when I went there, a lot of them are wearing masks because they don't want to get sick, or if they are sick, they don't want other people to get sick.
2 years ago, I took Asher to the doctor. He was 2 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there were masks there.
Yeah.
And there's a little sign. It's, if you have any symptoms that you're showing that can affect any other people in the waiting room, please wear a mask.
Right. Was that affecting Mr. Ramsey's freedom? So he's been going on this thing. He's having this huge event. I don't know if it's this week or it's upcoming weeks, and it's like a big party. And you know, no one there is going to be wearing masks. And it, to me, it's criminal. I mean, no one wants to say it. It's criminal. Like, dude, you're having a party of like 1,000 people and no one's wearing masks. I don't know. Like, I don't know how stuff.
Unless you're handing out tests at the door.
Right.
And you know you're not.
The guy's just, I don't know. There's some, it's always rubbed me about him wrong. He's just a creepo, truthfully. So, okay, well, I guess that's the big story. So let's just jump in. Obviously, it's Christmas time, and next week is Christmas. So this time of year, you know, the movies are always playing, and everyone's got their thoughts on it. We're going to run down all those thoughts because there's some hot takes, cold takes, all these kind of things. But me and John, since we are the list makers, I mean, that's what we do. We define, you know, there's taste makers, and then we're list makers, okay? I got to say, our duos was well received. There was a few like, yo, I'd have had this, I'd have had that, but Come on.
There were some. The highlight, the one that I liked the most,
Okay.
that we did not put on the list.
Who was it?
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. I thought I had him on my list too, and I was like, I probably should have went one cartoon character, but I mean, what are you going to, once again, you got to think, we're picking every duo in the history of the world, people.
Yeah.
You can all sit back on your couches or your cars when you're driving to work or your cubicle, and you can criticize.
And the thing is, I mean, after things are said and done and we give our list, you guys got time to hit the internet,
right?
And you guys are looking up all things. Hindsight's 20/20. Sometimes we forget things, and sometimes, we stand firm.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, I mean, the next day I'm like, yeah, I probably should have put that on the list. But we're going to do the Mount Rushmore of Christmas movies. Now, I went first last week, so John, you get to go first this week, and we're going to list four of. Now, I want to understand what's happening here. These are the four greatest Christmas movies of all time. Now, I don't know what John's criteria is. Mine is, what are the four greatest? I'm not even saying my favorites. I'm saying the greatest, which happen to be some of my favorites. But still, I'm just saying these are the four greatest. So we've got a lot of listener ones after the show, and we'll get to all that. But we're going to go with John. What is your first pick for the Mount Rushmore of Christmas movies?
For me, each of my picks, I had like a little, like a sub criteria.
Okay.
And so for my number one pick,
okay,
it's quotable, the most quotable.
Can I guess?
You can guess.
A Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story is my number one.
That's a solid list. Tell us about the Christmas Story.
The Christmas
John.
Story features a young boy, age of 9, Ralphie, and all he wants is a Red Ryder BB gun. And every time he tries to inform those of power, those who have access to this, that can get him this, the reply is, "You'll shoot your eye out."
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, reading, just what I like to do is I'll watch a movie and then I love to go to IMDb and I love to read the trivia about the movie. I love to read the history, the stories that happen, and there's so much about that movie. Like, it wasn't even supposed to be like a hit. I think it just got played so much, and people like us, like our age, were like, this is a really good movie. It's hilarious. I think, here's one of the things I think is important about a Christmas story, a Christmas movie, and Christmas movies in general, is that it needs to take you back to being young and enjoying Christmas. I think there's a large degree of that. And so when people say Die Hard is a Christmas movie, John, what say you?
No, it's not a Christmas movie.
I don't think it is.
It is a movie that happens to take place during late December.
I think criteria, it has to be enjoyable by a family, okay? A family has to gather around and watch it to be a Christmas movie classic, okay? The family, as much as I love Die Hard, and it is one of my favorite movies, I think it is a perfect film. I cannot sit with my 10, 12-year-old and my 2-year-old and watch Die Hard. Oh, I mean, sure, I would love to watch that with my kids at one point.
Even if you remove the family aspect. I mean, Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Right.
I mean, it's a Christmas movie.
Right.
But it's definitely not something that you can watch with your family. But Die Hard, if it was shot during midsummer, how different would the movie be?
None. And Adam Pewitt got on Twitter and was saying, well, we'll get to another movie. I don't want to spoil any upcoming ones, but I think it's got to be enjoyable by a family. It's got to remind you of being a kid and enjoying Christmas, to whatever aspect. And all mine do that. So, and I'm sure all yours do too. Okay, good one. Christmas Story. All right, so I'm going to go with, John knows what my favorite one is, so I'm just going to go ahead and knock it out, just where I've got to put it on here just in case. And it's a story that reminds me of Christmas 100%. Also the feeling of being a weirdo, a misfit, being left out. It's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I could watch that. I watch that every Christmas without a doubt. I have to watch that movie. I think it's fantastic. It's a story, as the Christmas Story, driven completely by Christmas. Without Christmas, neither of these movies take place. Yes. And if you don't know, it is a stop animation. I love that. So it's retro. And I know like nostalgia is like the big, I know I say I don't like nostalgia, but sometimes I do. It's a case where I love it.
I think there is a difference between nostalgia and retro.
Okay. I get a sense of nostalgia about this retro film, which it is. But it tells the story of Rudolph, who is a reindeer who has a red nose. He's basically shunned from society. Him and a dentist elf. I mean, who was writing this movie, bro? Because they were on some stuff. But they leave. They encounter another misfit, Cornelius, and they encounter the abominable snowman. And then Rudolph has to save Christmas. And I always thought the difference between maybe, I don't know, you never know. If you were Rudolph and you go through all this crap, dude, everyone's clowning on this guy. Like Santa's clown. Santa Claus is clowning on this guy.
Yeah, he was mean to Rudolph.
Okay, he's clowning this dude. And then at the end, it's like, yo, man, we can't do Christmas. Part of me was like, oh, well, I mean, I guess you had what was coming to you, but that's why I'm not the hero of these movies, I guess. A true hero will go, I will sacrifice everything that's done to me to save Christmas. And that's what he does. Fantastic movie. So my second choice, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. All right, John, you're up. What's your next one?
Now, my next one, of all the stuff that we just said about Christmas movies, this is a movie that may not, I mean, if you took Christmas out of it, it might still happen.
I would disagree. I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
But this movie does give you the feels of Christmas.
Go ahead.
It's a Wonderful Life.
I knew. I can read your mind. Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty predictable when it comes to Christmas.
Well, no, just the description you gave.
Yeah.
Look, once again, it's set in Christmas. Okay, so that is important. But once again, and I think my third thing about the Christmas movies, is there redemption for the character in the sense of family, in the sense of love, in the sense of charity?
No.
And that drives that movie. I mean, we start off with this guy, and he's not really a likable guy, truthfully. I mean, he's kind of a jerk. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, he's like, I'm getting out of this town, and blah, 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 blah. And it's through, these series of events that he kind of discovers, like, oh, all the things I had, I didn't want, but now, I appreciate them. So I think it's a definite Christmas movie. It's one my family watches every year.
I mean, I wholeheartedly think it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But what we said about Die Hard,
yeah,
some people might come at us.
Well, and we'll keep nailing Die Hard. Does the character John McClane change from the beginning of the movie to the end at all? No.
Not really, no.
0%. He's the same dude at the beginning. That guy was going to do that stuff he did, whether, like you said, you said it was Christmas, whether people like, well, his wife, he was going to save those people whether his wife was in that building or not. John McClane was not the type of dude to be like, well, I'm out. I'm going to leave this building. No.
Well, since my wife's not here,
I guess I got to let these people die. So I think the themes of family, love, and like charity are very, it's Wonderful Life. They don't exist without it. So I say it's definitely a Christmas movie. All right, I'm going to go, I got this comedy that I absolutely love. It's usually the first thing we watch every year, Elf. Elf is so good. Yeah. And we know some people. We know some close friends that do not like Elf. And it is very alarming for me. It is.
Because if you're thinking of the same one I'm thinking of,
it's
I'm
Emily.
going to out her.
It's Emily. Yeah.
I was extremely surprised to hear this.
Yeah. Especially her and her husband. You seem like they would love Elf.
Yeah.
They're goofy.
Yeah.
They're goofy type people. So, Elf obviously tells a story of Will Ferrell as a human that happens to end up in the North Pole through some shenanigans and believes he's an elf. And then he's told he's not an elf and he has to go find his father. And it's the story of believing in miracles, believing in Christmas. And he is just as annoying as he is throughout the film, he's very lovable. He's always got this bright optimism. And I feel like that's missing in a lot of shows just in general, or even movies where everything's gotten kind of darker. Sometimes you need like those just optimistic, childlike characters. The only problem I have with the entire movie is the romantic angle between him and Zooey Deschanel, I don't like it. I think it's a little bit suspect.
Well, the problem is you view Buddy so much as a childlike character.
Thank you. Yes.
And she is not.
Yeah.
And it just feels wrong.
That's what I think every time I watch it. And
it feels like she's dating an 11-year-old.
What does it do for the movie? Is what I say.
Absolutely nothing.
Just at the end where he can have a kid?
Singing parts. That's it.
She could have been his friend,
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it's a perfect movie, and I can watch it every year. And the thing is, I don't watch these movies unless it's Christmas. I don't in the middle of July go, hey, let's pop in Elf or let's pop in Rudolph. No, in December, it's time to watch these movies.
Yeah.
Die Hard, have I watched it not Christmas? Yes, many times.
Well, those movies, it almost seems wrong to watch it another time of the
Right,
year.
yes, I agree.
So, yeah.
All right, John, you are up. Your number 3 pick.
Number 3, this story has probably been adapted more than any other Christmas story ever.
Curious which one you're going with.
And the part I'm struggling with, even as these words are coming out of my mouth, is which adaptation.
Okay, I know it. Okay, which one are you going to pick?
The story overall is A Christmas Carol.
Okay, but which version? See, because I've got a couple of versions on my list. It's interesting.
I mean, my first thought is like a caliber of a movie, period.
Okay.
Would be the 1951 version, the old school, kicking it back. But
come on, who's watching that, brother? Come on.
when I think now, I've got a 4-year-old.
I know which one you're gonna pick. Okay.
I got a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and so I gotta go with Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Oh, okay.
I know Muppets. People are gonna fight me on the Muppets.
Yeah,
because the Muppets are it's really good.
I thought you were going Muppets. I think they're both good. I think.
But the thing is like Mickey's Christmas Carol it's under half an hour, so you can pop it in. And the kids won't lose their.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would not have. I didn't have that one on my list at all. I had other adaptations, and maybe I might use them as we get to the end. We'll find out. So Mickey's Christmas Carol, obviously, Christmas Carol. You know, Ebenezer Scrooge.
I mean, Scrooge is a word because of this book, this story.
It's a great story.
Bah humbug. There's just so many things that this story has created, and even like tropes in other Christmas movies. You've got your Scrooge types, even Buddy the Elf, his dad.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Is a Scrooge type that has a redemption arc.
Yes, exactly.
And so there's a lot of movies have that.
The redemption arc is very important in these Christmas movies. I mean.
Oh yeah.
You know, Christmas Story. It's a little bit harder to say. I mean, because they're not really terrible people, but even the kid, kind of at the end, you know, kind of. I don't know, maybe appreciates his parents a little bit. I don't know, but that, you know, yes, but the redemption is very important. So I'm going to go to my number 3, very important for redemption to some degree, even though there were sequels where the dude was still kind of like, but Home Alone. And I know people, Adam Pewitt online said it's not a Christmas movie. I disagree with him. There is literally, if you read about the movie, there's literally red and green in every shot of the movie. It was heavily meant to be a Christmas story. I mean, obviously Kevin McAllister, played by Macaulay Culkin. I mean, career-defining role. I mean, when you think of Macaulay Culkin, you think of one thing: slapping the hands and in Home Alone. This is one I watch every year. Fantastic story, ridiculous, of course, but that's what makes it fun. I mean, you got Joe Pesci acting his butt off in this movie. He's so good. Like, my kids watch it, and they don't know who Joe Pesci is. Like, they don't know Joe Pesci from Goodfellas. Like, like it's hard to, like, watch Goodfellas and then be like, yo, what is happening right now? But he is so good in this movie. Like, it's crazy. Like, if you read about it, he didn't even get around Macaulay Culkin because he wanted him to be, like, very afraid of him when he did it. So, I love Home Alone. I think it's, once again, it's a redemption arc about a kid who doesn't appreciate his family, doesn't appreciate what he has. They disappear in his mind, and so he discovers the spirit of Christmas is his family. He wants his family back for Christmas. He finds a Santa. You know, in most of these movies, I don't know about Christmas Carol, but most of them have Santa in the film, whether he's someone playing Santa or like whatever.
A Santa type.
Right. Yes, and so and that's a very important kind of scene in Home Alone where he finds a Santa who's kind of like this.
Estranged from his family.
Without that guy, but he actually meets a Santa who's like smoking a cigarette. Oh, yeah. He's like a hard living guy, and he's like, yeah, I want my family back. So Home Alone definitely on my list for sure. All right, so you've come down to your last pick, John. So
last pick.
Oh, this could be tough right here.
This one I feel mixes the religious and the secular aspects of Christmas.
No idea what this one is.
And a lot of people won't remember the religious aspects of it, but Charlie Brown Christmas.
Okay, I do have that on my list. Also Rans. Very good. All right, talk about Charlie Brown Christmas.
Charlie Brown Christmas. A lot of the first half of it is all about uh, specifically Linus being very against the way Christmas has turned into just a holiday about buying stuff and greeting cards and Christmas trees and Christmas presents, and that's what all people really care about. But near the end of the movie, he gets his chance to shine during the Christmas pageant, and it's a cartoon that aired. Well, it's not going to air this year, unfortunately. Why? ABC pulled it, just like they pulled the Great Pumpkin.
What?
Because it's on TV this year.
Oh, because it's on Disney Plus. That's why they. Yeah, because it's. I just signed up for Disney Plus yesterday, and that's why. Oh my God, that buys into commercialism even worse than this. Oh wow,
way to go, ABC
that
and
is
Disney.
Crazy, dude.
Anyway, but he gets his chance to. I mean, Christ is mentioned in a cartoon.
Oh yeah, it's
nonetheless,
crazy.
I'm a big fan of that.
Well, let's not even forget, and I've got this on vinyl. Just the soundtrack for that movie. It is so good. It's probably the best Christmas album, top to bottom.
Also, what's great is like the song Lucy and Linus, the one that everybody knows that associates it with Charlie Brown. It's not really a Christmas song, but it's a Christmas song.
Yeah. I'm gonna go listen to that tomorrow because I usually pull it out this time of year.
Mean,
the music
and I'll be
is so
honest,
good.
I love Snoopy versus the Red Baron.
Yeah, dude. Charlie Brown, Peanuts, fantastic. That's a good choice. So I had that on my list. So thank goodness you got that. Okay, so I've come down to my last one. I've got a couple of good options, man, and I know either way I go, I'm gonna get crap from people, and I'm just gonna go. What is something? Now I do want the kids around, so I could pick something like animated. I could go, what about the Grinch? But I'm not going to go the Grinch because I do like the Grinch. I'm talking about the original version of it. But I'm going to go with a comedy. I think it's great. I think it just talks. It's got some classic lines that are repeated to this day. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I mean, come on, man. It's fantastic. I mean, it's Chevy Chase. Movie. It's Chevy Chase at his best. Later on in life, Chevy Chase kind of got some flack, from people because he was kind of a jerk on the set of Community. People said, he's not a very good guy and all this, but as the role, what's his name in that movie?
Griswold.
Yes, Clark Griswold, fantastic in Vacation. European Vacation, not so much, but Christmas Vacation, fantastic. I mean, then you got cousin Eddie. Oh, he's so good. I mean, it's so great, and it's about, once again, it's about what are we getting out of the holiday? And like you said with Peanuts, touched on it as well. We put all this stock into what are we going to get instead of realizing what we have, And I think buried deep in that comedy, you can laugh at it, but at the end you kind of go, okay. And it's got some great all-time scenes. The light scene, the shitter's full. I mean, all of it. It's just fantastic. So it's really good.
When he's bringing the Christmas tree in.
And it's so good.
Where are you going to put that? Bend over and I'll show you. It's so great.
So definitely have to watch that one every year. Okay, so we've come to our top four. So John's was A Christmas Story, It's a Wonderful Life, Mickey's Christmas Carol, Charlie Brown Christmas, and mine was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Elf, Home Alone, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So we put, now in the chat room, we've got a bunch I'd have to go through.
Let's go through some of your honorable mentions.
So some of the ones we didn't list, I just had on the short list. I had the Muppet Christmas Carol. I had Scrooged. I didn't know which one to go with Christmas Carol, obviously. I had Charlie Brown Christmas. I did have How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And really, I think that was about it. I think we kind of hit all my other ones. Did we miss any?
I had Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Okay. That's yes.
Yeah, and The Family Man. For some reason, I wanted Nicolas Cage to pop up.
Wow, Family Man. That's crazy. I've only seen that once, and I don't ever watch it around Christmas. So unfortunately, I mean, it's a decent movie, but okay. Okay, well let's.
What did our?
Oh, so the chat said all kinds of stuff. They loved the choices. Robin said Christmas Story, Charlie Brown Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman. Good one we didn't mention here. Let's see, we had Muppet. People like the Muppet Christmas Carol. Christmas Carol 2009 is good. There's a whole bunch of Christmas Carol ones. Jeffrey said Polar Express, which my kids have watched 10 million times. Not really a fan of it.
I can't get into it myself.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
It's just creepy. All right, but we did put the call out to social media, and here's what the blamers had to say. Lisa Mays listed her 4 as 1951's A Christmas Carol, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Christmas Vacation. So those were her 3 right there. Glenda had Miracle on 34th Street, Christmas Story, Rudolph, Frosty. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. She had 5, I had 4, but that's all right. We had Paula on Twitter said the best movie, without a doubt, is Home Alone. So that was her definitive favorite one. Joseph Diario, who listens to, faithful listener, Die Hard. Sorry. Then we got Cobras and Fire, Die Hard. Listen to this list. 8 Crazy Nights. Are you familiar with that film?
That's the Adam Sandler.
And then you have Rudolph and It's a Wonderful Life. That's a hot list. Kent Peterson. Actually a pretty standard list. Elf, Home Alone, Christmas Story, and then you had 4 Christmases, which I believe is a Vince Vaughn movie.
Yeah.
Okay, not bad. And then Brooke Jolly, of course, Gremlins. Is Gremlins a Christmas movie, John?
No.
Okay, well.
If you there's hardly any Christmas scenes.
He was a Christmas present.
It could have been a birthday present
true.
during February.
I'm not going to fight on the Gremlins hill. But anyways, that was our definitive Christmas list right there. Let us know on social media what you thought. Did you like it? Did you not? What did we miss? But I think it's going to be hard to say we missed any major ones. I'm sure people are going to come out of the woodwork with like crazy ones. Like Family Man would be what I'd be like, okay, sure. I didn't really remember that, but that's cool. But I think we nailed the big ones. So it'd be more interesting to see who doesn't like what, because some people don't like Elf, some people don't like. I've heard A Christmas Story, which I'm like, dude, come on, that's a definite number 1. Like, that's got to be on the Mount Rushmore. So I think our lists this week are very strong. I think it's easy kind of list just to figure out who likes what. So now I told you I got Disney Plus, and I have watched every episode of The Mandalorian. And it is majestic. Have you watched any of this series?
I've watched the first 6 episodes, and that's it.
Okay, so season 2's out. Man, so I watched season 1, and I thought it was all right. Like, I didn't think it was like the greatest thing in the world. And I gotta say, do I love Star Wars? Yeah, of course I do. We grew up loving Star Wars.
Yeah.
Anyone our age, if you meet them and they say they don't like Star Wars, I don't know if they're to be trusted, man. And I mean that. Like, it's crazy. But second season is so freaking good. There's I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but there are major characters that are in season 2 where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's very cool. It's got some big time actors in it. Rosario Dawson's in it. Who's the guy from Justified? I can't think of his name. Oh, man. Timothy Olyphant's in it. He's great. Bill Burr returns. Bill Burr, if you haven't watched Mandalorian, or if you have, he might be the greatest character on that show, man. I know everybody loves Baby Yoda, but Bill Burr, his episode in season 2 was the best episode I've ever watched. So I watch a lot of time while I'm doing stuff. Like, I watched a lot of season 1. I'd be like, doing some chores around the house, running around, doing whatever. So I was kind of like, all right, like if I miss a few things, I'm never going to be able to follow this story. what's going to happen? Bill Burr's episode, I was glued the entire time. It was the best one. Now, you've heard the knock on what's her name? Gina Carano is in this show. Now, Gina Carano is a former MMA fighter, and now she's an actress. People are calling for her to be kicked off the show. Why do you think that is, John?
No, I have no idea. I'm almost given up on society.
Now, from what I remember, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'll look at it right now, but I believe she's a little bit of what we call a Trump supporter. And I believe she has said things that were maybe not so PC. So the Star Wars online community has decided that she should be removed from the show indefinitely. this is ridiculous, right? I mean,
Yes.
where are we at with this? So it says, all the Mandalorian fans have kept Cara Dune, played by actress Gina Carano, as one of their favorite characters. But this seems, because she's pretty awesome, she's badass on the show, but it seems to be having a decline in recent months. She's had some impressive controversy on Twitter. It is her statements that the actress that have upset the fans so much. It turns out a few weeks ago, a movement has started on social networks to boycott the actress and demand her dismissal because the actress indirectly mocks the LGBT community on social network, which has annoyed the fans. Likewise, in recent days, the Mandalorian actress has also stood out for her conspiratorial side, therefore hinted in particular that Joe Biden's victory in the presidential election was related to cheating, and then criticized the interest in masks to fight COVID-19. So, I mean, these are some pretty spicy takes by the actress. But here's what I think. Imagine you never get on social media. Because I'm going to be honest. Since the election has ended, I'm not on social media as much. For the time the election was taking place, I was dialed into the news networks. I was dialed in social media. I could tell you stuff you're like, what are you even talking about? Like, this dude did this and he's done this and this. I've kind of dialed off a little bit. I'm still on it, but not as heavily. I only know about this because I follow people that love Star Wars. But for like people like you that enjoy Star Wars and do not get on social media, unaware, right?
I had no idea.
And shouldn't it at some point, I mean, yeah, if she's like a pedophile or something, or if she went out and like murdered some people, I could get the outrage. But these people, you can't start banning people because you don't like the way they see the world. Like, you understand, like, I'm not saying half the people believe conspiracy theories, but half the country believes the way Trump believes. And then the other half, and it's almost half down the line, the other half don't. And so, like, what, you're just going to have roles just for this side? I mean, if they're a really good artist, I've always said, you got to separate the art from the artist is how, I mean, I look at it. I mean, I just think this is kind of crazy. I'm watching her on screen. She's a character in the show, man. Like, she's not Gina Carano when she's on this show. What do people want? They want to handpick the people that are on the show and everything? I just don't get it, man. I don't, it's just, I just keep coming back to that thing of social media. The world that exists on there is like a vacuum to itself. And if you really just step away from it, you would be unaware of anything. Like the big thing this week is somebody in Biden's camp called the people in Trump's campaign a bunch of effers. You're like, you can't talk about people like that. And I'm like, well, wait, number one, hold on a minute. Like, you got to be kidding me. This is the same group that's like, F your feelings, you know. I mean, constantly, you know, who cares about your feelings? And now they're upset about that. I think people just get on there, and I buy into it too as well, that you sometimes go there wanting to generate outrage, you know. You want to get on there and be kind of pissed sometimes. And it's easy to take shots at people because there's so many opinions coming down your feed, and you just go, yep, that's the one I'm attacking. For instance, Nashville Scene released their top 5 Nashville artists, or maybe top 10. Maybe it was a top 10 Nashville-based artists. Now, if I tell you Nashville-based artists, and it's the Nashville Scene, what would you expect? Who would you expect to be on the list?
I would expect indie artists.
That's what I would expect as well. These were Jason Isbell. I mean, I
like Jason Isbell.
Oh, I love him too. He's fantastic.
He's like overly out there already.
Does he need the Nashville Scene really champagning his cause to the people? Now, I responded to the Nashville Scene. I thought, surely they're not going to respond to me. And I think the head editor was like, sorry, your favorite people didn't make the list. I'm like, I'm sorry you listed a bunch of people that didn't need the press. Your magazine should be for helping local indie artists get bigger, not helping Jason Isbell or Haley Williams. I think they're good, man. Like, if you don't list their, number one, it probably should have been 2 lists. Established artists, indie artists. No. Because I come back to I put out a YouTube video on our YouTube page.
It was a really good video.
I mean, Trapper Haskins, we've seen him in person. Amazing artist. Jen Star Cynic, seen her in person. Amazing. Becky Warren, amazing. These people need to be seen. I mean, our little podcast isn't going to get them out there. I mean, yeah, sure. I'm sure it's introduced it to a few people. Are we much bigger than the scene? Who knows? that's questionable. But the national scene is probably a little bit bigger than us, and I think they have a role as a indie publication to get out there and spread the word for actual national, not people that live here part time or not people that tour the country, artists that live here, play here, and associate here. So I don't know, man. It kind of bums me out. And the scene, everyone that's listening, our history with the scene. It's not a good one. Like I want to like the magazine, but I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. I think they're a bunch of. This is what I think of the Nashville scene. I think these were kids in school that probably weren't very cool. Okay, they were kind of nerds, which is fine. I mean, we were too. I'm not saying they're like we're cool kids, but they got the power of their little magazine, and now they're gonna control. They're the gatekeeper for things that should not be controlled, such as a best of Nashville list where they don't release any of the numbers. Can you imagine we have an election? We're just like, well, guys, we're not going to release any of the numbers, but you're just going to have to trust us on who the winners are. You'd be like, nah, man, this is. And it even goes back to our band days, John. We were in a band. We would submit stuff to them all the time to list our shows. There were many, 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 many times they would not list our shows. Now that's just tacky, man. I mean, like it's free to list. It's free. Like, you're not losing anything. We're playing with other bands. Like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of these are people that want to be cool kids, and now they have the authority and they think they're going to do it. And there's writers that write there. And
it's the journalistic version of, like, security guards who wanted to be cops.
There you go.
But couldn't crack it.
That's good. Wow. I mean, I didn't say that, but I'm not going against it. So, yeah. So, I don't know, man. Just... if you have the ability and you're a bigger publication, you should just do it right. And come on, man, you're licking the boots of Jason Isbell. Like, you think the dude's going to read your magazine? Because I seriously doubt the guy flips through it. I don't know that, but I don't see Haley Williams going, hey, give me a copy of the Nashville scene, see if I made their top 10 best artist. And no, dude, that's not happening. So I don't know. It's just a very, it's strange, man. So. All right. So we talked about the vaccine, Time Person Man of the Year, and then I guess we can wrap up with the Cleveland Indians baseball organization. Have you heard about this? They're changing the name now, and they're gonna do it at their 2021. They're still gonna be the Indians. Now, I'm just gonna get my take first. I mean, I have no problem with this. If I was an Indian, would I care? I mean, would David care? Probably not, but. I mean, the mascot, which they did abandon, but still, I mean, come on, it's a little bit racist. I mean, let's just keep it real. It's kind of a caricature of a Native American. I think if enough people start griping about it, maybe it's time just to pick a new name. Plus, new merchandise, new sales, maybe a new, people coming in to see it. Is there any names? Have you heard of any of the potential names that might be introduced for this?
No, I haven't.
So they've got, one I really liked was the Tribe. And I put that on Twitter and said, you can't do that. I'm like, well, dude, a tribe is not just Native American people. Like a tribe is just a group. A collective group. Yeah. I think you could still kind of keep some of the imagery and you call yourself the Tribe. The Spiders was one only because they used to be called the Spiders a long time ago. The Rockers was one, which Cleveland. But, there's apparently a WNBA team called the Rockers and people, you can't, dude, come on. I mean, no one even knows there's a WNBA team called the Rockers. Besides the fact...
is it the Cleveland team?
It was. I don't think they're around anymore. And it's WNBA. Now, people, you can hit the misogyny alert or whatever, but it's not, you walk up to the average person on the street, name me 3 teams in WNBA. What percentage of the population, honestly, do you think could do it? It'd be under 5%, right?
Yeah, it'd be small.
I can't even name 2, and I'm like, I keep up with sports. I think there's a team called the Sparks. Okay, all right, we got 1.
Liberty.
Oh, is there a Liberty? What cities are these, John?
New York.
Okay. So you got 2. You name 1 more.
That's the third. The Rockers, apparently.
Exactly. A defunct team. So, rest in peace, Cleveland Indians, I guess. It was a good run while it lasted. And like I said, growing up, I was an Indians fan. So, I'm not really a fan of any baseball team now, but it'll be, it's fun to watch, kind of root for a team you used to like. So, All right. Well, there we go, John. We've come up to the end of another episode. Thought it was pretty good. We went over some good things. We put some people to, gave them their final farewell into the night. Deebo, especially. Charley Pride. Sorry you guys went. And we made a great list for Christmas movies. And Christmas is next week. So I don't know if we'll talk about that off air. But anyway, Christmas Eve will be 1 week away. Yep. So just ask people, just be safe. If you're going to have your family over, that's cool. Don't have 50 people over or anything like that. But if you want to have your close family over, I'm not going to knock that. I know Dr. Fauci says not to do it. I'm like, come on. You really going to tell people they can't bring their immediate family over for Christmas? I know we're going on this corona spreading, but you got to be smart about it. And, if you're going to work every day, like a lot of people are now, that's just as dangerous as having your, somebody over. Once again, keep it smart, and at the end of the day, you got to do what's, best in your interest. But anyway, all right, that's that. So what you need to do, of course, every week we talk about, you've got to go to the website bybpod.com. It's bybpod.com. We have had a lot of people buying their Christmas gifts on there, so we appreciate that. And what we're talking about is, if you go to bybpod.com, there's a link on the right side, or if you're on your mobile, it's at the bottom. It says Amazon link. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, just click on that link, takes you to Amazon, spend, do what all the Christmas movies preach against. Spend, consume, and we get a small percentage of the sales. All of our social media links are on there. We also got Blame Your Brother shirts. We got Blame Your Brother face mask, leggings, hooded sweatshirts. We got a bunch of stuff. And a lot of those are kind of vintage now because Lee's on a lot of those shirts. We're going to keep them up for sale because, some people still say Lee's their favorite. We've got all of our past shows on there. We've got a great article from our friend Josh Baker, who recently went through a breakup, and he chronicled, and it's called The Jump, and it is fantastic writing. So definitely go check that out. I'm doing movie reviews. I watched Stardust recently, the David Bowie biopic. You just have to go read it and see if you should watch it or not. And I'll be trying to be doing more movie updates as it goes on. I've done Sound of Metal, which is really good. They're all up there. So that's, just keep going to that website for the articles and everything. Sign up if you want to send us an email and all that. Do that. There's tons of ways to interact with us. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what we missed on the list, what you thought we should have had on there, and all that good stuff. So I guess that's in the show. Rate, review, hit us up on YouTube, hit us up on in the Apple Podcast, however you get your podcast. Tell your friends about it. And with all that being said, John, is there anything else?
Ho ho ho! Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.
Oh, hey.